This is my 845 AMG, and 2 weeks ago, this car was literally dead in the water. I drained the oil, removed the engine, stripped down the engine, and rebuilt the engine in a record time. That was quick. And today we're going to sort out the interior so that we can take this car for our first ever road test. But before that, we've got some performance modifications to do before we assemble the front end, because the front end is still stripped down. I'm not going to pretend like I bought these upgraded parts, because the nice thing about this car is it actually came with these upgraded parts. So we're going to fit the downpipe, we're going to fit the induction kit, and then once this interior is all fixed up, we're going to go for a road test. So the quickest and easiest way to make power on a modern turbo car is to remove your catalytic converter. This is off another car, just to show you guys. It looks like a honeycomb on the inside. So basically what this does is it helps with emissions, but it's not good for your engine. It suffocates the engine over a long period of time and then can cause internal engine damage, like pistons and stuff breaking. Then we're going to swap it out with a nice downpipe so that the car can breathe better. And because we're fitting a downpipe, there's a sensor on this side and there's a sensor on that side. This one is called the upstream and this one is called the downstream. So with your catalytic converter, it takes a reading before the cat and then it takes a reading after the cat. The moment you put this on your car, the before and the after value is the same, where with a catalytic converter, the before and the after value is different. And this will immediately switch on the engine light and put the car into limp mode. So when we fit the downpipe, we're going to do a nice intake as well to allow the car to breathe better, exhale better, and then we're going to have to do a software in order for this stuff to work with the car. So let's get this downpipe fitted. This should be a fairly straightforward fit. Nothing special about it. The downpipe gets mounted to the turbocharger with a 2-piece metal clamp that is held in place with 2 E12 bolts. Once that's done, we need to slide in the exhaust vibration rubber and then just tighten the final clamp at the bottom. And as easy as that, there we have our downpipe fitted. I've gone ahead and put back the rad pack and connected all the pipes and fittings. Now we're putting back in the front end panel with the headlights, and we removed it as one section because this way we don't have to adjust the headlights. And there we have our front end pretty much completed. And now we can bleed the cooling system. To bleed the cooling system, we are using a vacuum bleeder that creates a vacuum in the cooling system, and then through the vacuum it sucks the coolant into the cooling system from this container. Downpipe fitted, front end assembled, cooling system bled, induction kit fitted. So let's fire up this baby and hear the new sound. Now that sounds crisp. And of course we're first going to go for a test drive, just to make sure that everything is fine. I'm now just getting a feel for the car, not pushing it, but just checking to make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. The gearbox feels amazing. Pedal shift's working. Woo! Can't wait to push this little car. Now we need to get back into the workshop, get this interior sorted, and because I want to take this car for a proper test drive. But it sounds beautiful, drives amazing. I'm happy. I'm happy with the road test, so now we can go ahead and put back the front bumper. I'm carefully sliding on the front bumper skin. Now I'm lifting up the car so that we can remove the wheels, so that we can access the bolts on the corner pieces of the front bumper. 2 on the left hand side, and once that's done we can move over to the right hand side and do exactly the same job by fitting the 2 screws on the right hand side. And once that's done, we can put the fender liners back in, put the wheels back on, and there we have our front end completely assembled. And this car looks amazing. Exterior done. Now it's time for the interior. So there's a lot of electronical warnings on the dashboard, and this interior is stripped down completely. Well, not completely. So what I'm going to do is remove the front seats, take the carpets out so that I can access the whole electronical system on the car, and then check all the plugs, wires, control units, and then start from there. Run a diagnostic and see what is the story on the electronics. So let's get these front seats and the carpets out, and let's start investigating the electronical system. So for some reason the radio stopped working as well. The radio was working, it's not working anymore. This doesn't work, and there's some dashboard warnings. So I'm removing the carpet in the boot section, and then I'm removing the electronic selector module and carefully removing both front seats so that we can remove the carpets from the interior. And there's our front seats removed. Now I'm sliding out the carpets, and that will in turn expose the whole interior electrical system. And there's the complete electrical system exposed on the interior. So now what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to plug all these plugs in, find where they need to go, plug them all in, and then run a diagnostic and see what is not working and what are we going to have to do. I can already see that for these yellow plugs I'm gonna have to put the seats back, which is fine. So let's get all these plugs plugged in, run a diagnostic, check the fault codes, and fix this baby, man. So now I'm carefully checking all electronical connections, control units, and everything that I can see, just to make sure that there's no water damage to any of these components. And to my surprise, I only found one component that had signs of water damage. The rest all looked brand new. So after inspecting the whole electronic system, the only worrying thing that I could find was for this plug over here, and this control unit plugs in over there. Now if you open up this control unit, I doubt this thing's gonna work. I'm not even gonna clean it and try and see if it's gonna work. I'm now putting back the front seats and the electronic selector module, connecting up as many as possible electrical components as I can so that we can run a diagnostic and check what is at fault and what needs attention on this electrical system. So I've plugged in as much as possible. Here and there's a plug that's still out, like the whole center console, but that's just for your USB ports and those type of things. So let's see. Switch on the ignition. Let's clear the fault codes. Do a quick erase. Okay, gearbox is happy. Ooh, I see green tags. Ooh, there's one red one. And that red one is still by the suspension. Communication with suspension as a malfunction. Damn, Sam. Let's start this baby and see. Look who's working. Ha ha. Hoo-hoo. Oh, the sound changes. So that's the only malfunction that's still there. It's just the suspension malfunction. So it looks like that control unit is not working. Listen to this. Yo. So now that we've checked and tested the whole electrical system on the interior, we can go ahead and assemble the interior. This is the cover for the front fuse box, and then we're putting back the air ducts for the air conditioning system. Once that's done, we can start fitting the carpets. We're starting off by the left hand side front carpet. Once that's done, we can move over to the right hand side. And these carpets basically just slide into their positions. This is a suspension control unit. I'm putting it back. We need to replace it, but currently I cannot find one. And this is the rear carpet. Now we're just putting it back in the rear carpet. And already by just putting in these carpets, it's starting to look like an interior again. Next up, we're putting back the center console armrest. When you fit back an armrest like this, always count your plugs and do a countdown as you plug them back in to make sure that you don't miss a plug, because it's very easy to miss a plug on something like this. Now we're fitting back the electronic selector module. And then just the last bits and bobs, and there we have our center console completed. Now we can move over to the trim panels on the left hand side. That basically just finishes off everything nicely. And once that's done, we can move over to the right hand side and basically just do exactly the same thing. This is our inner boot trim panel on the driver's side that we are fitting. And now we're putting back the boot carpet tray. And then we can put back the left side trim panel for the boot section as well.
Activate.
Now we can finish off all the paneling in the boot and just magically fit back all the screws and hooks inside the boot area. Now we're tightening up all the rear seat belts. There we go, they're all nice and tight. I would say the interior is pretty much sorted. All we need to do now is get the seats in. Once the seats are in, we're gonna sort out the head unit, and then the interior is pretty much done, and then we can go for a proper test drive. Now we're fitting back the front seats. This is the electronical plug connections for the front seats, first the left and then the right hand side. And now I'm carefully aligning the seats and fitting the front seat bolts. Once the front bolts are fitted, we can slide the seats forward so that we can access the rear bolts, and carefully tighten the rear bolts as well. And there's our front seats completed. Now we can move over to the rear seat bench. I'm first sliding in the left side of the rear seat bench. Once that's done and secure, we can move over to the right hand side and basically just do exactly the same. Clips into place and then it's done. And then we can fit the rear seat base. And there's our interior complete. Well, we still need to fit the boot parcel tray. And there's our car complete, ready for the grand reveal and our first proper test drive. It's a pity we can't do a launch control with this car because of that suspension control unit. The launch control doesn't work, but this car still sounds amazing. The most amazing part of this whole experience for me is the fact that every single component in this engine was in my hands, and now from assembling parts I've created a fire breathing machine. Just listen to this thing. And we're bouncing because the suspension is not working. Yo. Oh, I'm gonna have to get me a mouth guard. I did order the control unit. It's coming from Germany. So Mercedes-Benz told me 6 to 8 weeks. Let's hope it's gonna be quicker than that, because I still got something special planned with this car. But I need the control unit to be fitted, because you can't give someone an experience in a car like this, because it's not a pleasant experience driving like this. Engine performance, beautiful. So I've got the old radio back in the car. I need to spend a little bit more time getting this radio sorted, but we'll get the radio sorted. That will be a wrap for now, guys. If you like this type of content, then hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one, where we will give another hopeless car some hope and give it a second chance in life. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.